Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Soccer Report podcast. It's me, To, with my co-hosts, NIKO and Dante. We've got an amazing show for you this week, but before we start, we always want to acknowledge our biggest supporters, which are our sponsors. First, we'd like to acknowledge Cataldi Fresh Market, 2 locations, one in Woodbridge, one in Toronto. Go visit them. Best pastries in the city, hands down. And then go visit our buddy Louie at 9 Round Fitness and Kickboxing. If you want to get in shape fast, the workout is phenomenal. Call Louie, he will get you in shape. So thanks, guys, for that. This week, we've got a lot to talk about. MLS playoffs, Ibrahimovic, Tim and Sid, whole bunch of stuff that's going to be really exciting to talk about. The last time we met, gentlemen, I said the Vanny was done. The chopping block time had arrived. TFC has squeaked through again. All the credit due to Richie Laryea, a homegrown player, fantastic kid. What an acquisition from Orlando this year. I don't think TFC would have been where they are without him. Twice, he has made a massive impact in terms of this team squeaking through in the playoffs. So I want to give a big shout out to Richie Laryea. It's all on you, not on Vanny. In spite of Vanny, TFC goes through. NIKO, what do you think?
Well, like you said, Laryea, game-winning goal against DC. He won the penalty kick tackle that ended up winning them the game in New York. Larrea's been huge.
Absolutely.
They've had a bunch of players step up. Westberg stepped up. Laryea stepped up. The midfields look good. The team's looking good. You're right. They got lucky a little bit. Luck has something to do with it. A terrible defensive collapse by New York on the first goal.
Terrible. Terrible.
But they played through. Sean Johnson, the goalie for New York, is going to be having nightmares about another Panenka from Pozuelo because if you remember, in Pozuelo's first game with TFC was against New York, and he Panenka'd him in the penalty kick too. How do you not learn?
Absolutely. Listen, all the credit due to Pozuelo. At the end of the day, to have the balls to do that time and time and time again.
That guy's got to buy extra large underwear, man, because those things got to be huge hanging down there.
Absolutely, and he just keeps doing it and doing it and doing it. You'd think a goalkeeper would learn after once or twice, right? But I guess these guys are slow learners, some of them, and they just can't figure it out. New York, awful defending. That takedown in the box, and you can see the highlight reel. His players, his teammates are snapping at him, just saying
I don't
what
know
the hell?
How a professional does that.
Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Can't do that in the 90th minute. It was an obvious foul. At the end of the day, Laryea blew by him. You let it be one-on-one, goalie, forward, it's done. You don't take him down the box in the 90th minute. Massive mistake. Dante, what do you think?
Oh, yeah, it's just he gave us the game, literally.
Absolutely.
He literally gave us the game. Pozuelo, you knew it was either, he even said it, he has 2 penalty kicks. The Panenka down the middle or just the low on the side. That's it.
Well, that's all the options you really have in the PK. There aren't too many more options. You can top shelf it maybe, but if you're Ibrahimovic, you might top shelf it.
But it's just unbelievable. I'm so proud of TFC for getting through and just through all the adversity they've been through this year, whether it's injuries and, no Josie, no Gonzalez. Simon stepped up. I got to give him a shout out as well. Him and Mavinga. I don't know where this came from, but I'm so happy that that got us to Atlanta now, and then hopefully we can get Gonzalez and Altidore back.
Yeah, I definitely think the strong points for TFC have been goaltending and defending. That's really what's carried this team. It obviously hasn't been their offense, but at the end of the day, you do whatever it takes to get through, and TFC is through. They're going to be playing Atlanta. What is going to happen when TFC faces one of the strongest teams in the MLS? What do you guys think?
Well, New York City was the strongest team at the last month to 2 months of the season, right? And we handled them well. So I don't see any different going into Atlanta and playing on that. And we played in a crappy turf in New York, and we're playing on another crappy turf in Atlanta. These fields cannot get real grass like that. That's another story for another time. But TFC handles their business against big teams. They're a big game team. You put them against little teams, yeah, they flounder. But whenever they have to step up, they constantly have shown that they can do it. Whether it's luck, whether it's skill, I don't care. If the luck carries them to another MLS Cup championship, I don't care. They're going all the way. They're going to walk into Atlanta. They're going to put it down their throats. They're going to win 2-1 like they did in New York. And that's the thing we got to be prepared for. As soon as they scored the first goal in New York, I said it to everyone I was watching with. I said, you guys, you know what? New York's going to score another goal. We're not winning 1-0. New York's going to come and score another goal. Sure enough, they did, and TFC didn't let it affect them. It could have let it affect them, get down on their luck, and let another goal come in, but they still played hard, and they got that second goal at the end that they were rewarded.
But I got to say, the second Laryea gets on that field, the whole team changes. I don't care what anyone says. The second Richie got on that field, whether it was DC or New York City, something happened.
Yeah, he's an impact player.
It's
You've even
just
seen him on Team
unbelievable.
Canada. When Team Canada played the U.S., Larea is an impact player, and if TFC don't sign him to a big contract next year, well, they may sell him because he's actually he's very valuable. He's
He's gonna be worth
proven
a lot.
himself.
After this playoff,
so,
he's gonna be valuable.
Absolutely. So
Millions.
they can sell this guy. They can sign him and keep him. I think he's a definite asset. If they're a serious team and they want to be a contender for the next couple of years, they keep Larea. They give him the money that he deserves. He's proven it time and time again. He comes on the field. He's a game changer.
Here's my question, though, about Larea, and again, this touches on your Vanny point. Why does Vanny keep putting him in at a right back or a left back? I get why Vanny likes his attacking wings, but if you watched the game the other day, Larea plays great offensively, but there's a play where Larea was making a run, and I think it was Delgado who tried to fit it into him, and then they intercepted it, and now that whole wing on the defense is empty.
Right.
Sure, Larea can run back, but Larea is so far ahead. Coming back's terrible. So I mean, I'm not saying Larea is a liability defensively. I mean, this is his first year playing on the defensive line. There's a lot to learn.
Yep.
I mean, he still has a lot to learn defensively. He's been doing a decent job on the defensive end, an amazing job on the offensive end.
Yeah.
Why not try him in midfield or even
Right
on a
mid.
wing?
Yeah, I
Right
agree. I
mid,
think he's
yeah.
a versatile
Wing.
player, and I think he can
Yeah,
adapt.
right mid.
And he's a
Yeah.
quick learner.
He is.
So wherever you place him, midfield, defense, forward, like this guy's on it.
Like
Yeah.
that 3-5-2 formation.
That would work perfectly.
That would
for
be
him.
fantastic.
I agree. That would be nice to see.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's what worries me though going into games with teams that are great on the counterattack
Yeah.
is that if he's coming up on the wing quick and they
Yeah,
put it
for
to
a
that
team
left
like
side,
Atlanta,
especially with Atlanta with Pity Martinez,
it's dangerous.
Barco, and
Yeah,
Martinez
it's
going on that
dangerous.
counterattack. That's
It's
a lot to be
dangerous.
worried about.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I do think Larea still comes in as a substitute against
Right, I
Atlanta.
was just going to ask you that. Does he start or does he come in as a sub? He's proven himself.
I believe he should be a starter going forward with the team. However, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Agreed.
Coming in
I
as a
have
sub
that
has been
strategy as
working.
well. Yeah.
Starting Alro Amoro's been working, and
De
having
Leon
him
on
coming
the
in to
sub.
make a difference maker in the last half hour has been working. So you know what? You got to keep going with it.
What's the weak point for TFC right now? Obviously, I had said the goaltending and defense were their strong points. What's the weak point?
I just think sometimes we have mental lapses in the final third. So when we're attacking, it's just that killer pass we're missing sometimes. Like you got to understand too. Like obviously the DC explosion, but watching that New York game, sometimes it was just it was so edgy in that first half. Like it's just like we need a goal. Like how did we not score yet?
Just say
Right.
it, Dante. Our scoring sucks.
Yeah,
Our scoring
absolutely.
sucks.
Our scoring's terrible. Listen, you gotta remember, we don't have Altidore.
Yeah.
We don't have. We had Osorio had a great chance off a back heel by Endo that he just kind of put right at the goal.
right at the
Our
goal,
finishing is not where it's supposed to be, but at the same time, the guys you're asking to be finishers aren't finishers. Like,
Right.
we don't have a striker playing right now.
That's
so I
true.
mean,
Listen, you got to call a spade a spade. I missed the creative relationship between Altidore and Jovinko. It used to be
Oh, man.
beautiful to watch those two work together, finish it. It was just phenomenal, and that's why everyone was attracted to TFC, and the stands were full.
it's what we're
It was
missing.
beautiful
We're
play,
mi-
and
we're
that's
missing a
exactly
striker.
what we're
Yeah.
missing.
We're missing
And
that
with
combination,
all
like
the
you said.
injuries,
And they're
with
trying to make
Altidore.
Pozuelo that guy.
You know, exactly. We
Pozuelo's
thought
not that guy.
Pozuelo would be
No.
that guy, the guy to replace Jovinko. It hasn't happened.
No.
He hasn't been able to really mesh with Altidore the way we thought he could, and that's the biggest problem I see with TFC moving forward. Aside from Vanny,
Yeah.
I think he's the biggest problem.
Well-
and like I said, in spite of him, TFC with the quality players like Canadian guys like Richie Larea managed to go through in spite of Vanny.
So I'm happy with what we've gotten from Pozuelo this season. I mean, even in the game
Yeah.
against New York, his penalty kicks were on.
Yep.
He put in the goal, which was an easy goal to put in, but he did
Yeah.
his job.
Yep.
But again, he's not a striker.
Absolutely.
Sebastian Giovinco, yeah, he was a midfielder as well, but he played a striker role as
Absolutely.
well. Pozuelo's not a striker. He's an attacking midfielder, and that's what he'll score some goals. But don't be looking at him to get the goals every game. That's where we need Altidore to come in.
Yeah.
And if Altidore's playing in Atlanta, I think we look a lot better.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And Atlanta's very vulnerable on the counterattack. I was watching that Philly game, and oh my goodness, like Philly had this one chance. It was like a beautifully worked pass across, and then I don't know how Brad Guzan saved it, but it was just they're very vulnerable on defense.
So I wanted to bring something up to you. There's a stat that was mentioned this past week. So TFC right now, if they win the MLS Cup, that MLS Cup winning game will be Vandy's 100th win.
Imagine that.
Wow.
It won't happen. It won't happen. It won't happen.
So in 4 years,
I hope it does because I'm a Toronto fan. So.
in 4 years,
But not a Vanny fan.
3 conference finals, potentially 3 MLS
Yeah.
Cup finals.
Yeah, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. He'll be in the MLS Hall of Fame. And on that, I'm going to piggyback on Abramovich's comments and say, what would the MLS be without great European stars like Abramovich? It would be nothing. And guys like Vanny go to prove that fact because at the end of the day, in spite of Vanny, again, he's got great players, and the players have won these cups for him. They've won the games for him. They've squeaked through in the playoffs for him. So in spite of Vanny's defects, the team manages to go through and be a winning team.
So if they now with the win against New York, I know your opinion, Vanny should be out, but do you think Vanny will be out if they lose to Atlanta?
If they lose to Atlanta, I don't know for sure, because obviously management is a big fan of Vanny. And they had said, Bill Manning was here, and he said, if they don't make the playoffs, he's definitely out. Now they've made the playoffs. Now they've gone far in the playoffs. So obviously I think he will be in for at least another year. But doesn't mean that he's doing a good job. You can be lucky often and successful. And he's one of those guys that's lucky and successful. Okay, and again, I'm going to say it. This guy has been lucky every which possible way. They got Westbrook. Without their goaltending this year, would they have been where they are today? Without their goaltending?
No, they would have lost to DC.
Absolutely. They would have been done.
I mean, regardless, regular season, whatever, who cares? But again, without our goaltending, we lose first round.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. If they go all the way, the possibility is that they play LAFC or Seattle. Imagine a matchup like that. But I want to talk about...
I was going to say, before we go to Zlatan, with Vanny,
yes,
you know, I mean, Sid Sixero over at Sportsnet was saying, no Altidore, no Gonzalez. Vanny's a great manager for getting them this far.
Yes,
I think you're feeling some type of way about that.
I think Sid heard us, and Sid should stick to baseball. That's, what he knows. Guys are out of shape. They walk 3 bases. They call it a sport. It's not a real sport. Baseball's a sport for lazy fat people. Let's call it what it is. Half those guys are out of shape. They would never last 90 minutes on a pitch with a soccer player. You give me any one of those guys, let's do a combine. An MLS combine versus a Major League Baseball combine, and you look at the actual data and stats, those baseball guys will not last 30 seconds. They will not last. Soccer players are real athletes. To last 90 minutes on the pitch, running consistently, intervals of high speed, back to a jog, they're constantly moving. Baseball players are sitting around chewing tobacco for an hour. It's ridiculous. So Sid, stick to what you know. Baseball's for you. And maybe TV. Not even TV. But let's just say you shouldn't talk about soccer, comment on soccer. It's not your thing. I know you're a bandwagon person, so you do what you got to do. You got to get the ratings. At the end of the day, you don't know shit about soccer. Stick to baseball. Let's move on. I want to talk about Zlatan.
Oh.
Okay, his comments the other day and his actions against some of the LAFC fans. Obviously, I think he's a character. He's a personality. He's perfect for LA. He's perfect for the MLS. He's perfect for LA. Draws attention. And what he said is true. At the end of the day, he draws a lot of attention to that team. Yeah. He draws a lot of attention to the MLS. Everybody's watching him. He's talking about possibly going to Serie A and playing for Napoli. He is the type of guy that really brings soccer to another level, especially here in North America. Do you guys agree on his comments? His comments were basically that if he weren't around, the MLS would be nothing. Nobody would care. There would be no attention on the MLS. So he's basically the big draw for the MLS. Do you guys agree?
Honestly, I'm going to disagree. And the reason why I say that is there was a guy before him named David Beckham that brought us on the map. And David Beckham's bringing more people to the map. So, when Inter Miami comes next season, things are going to get interesting. Especially if Cavani, who's, hate to say it's Zlatan, but Cavani's way better than you, buddy, and David Silva, who's a World Cup winner. Zlatan's not a World Cup winner.
Not even a World Cup scorer.
There you go. So,
but if he came from a World Cup country, I think he would have been both, for sure. If Zlatan were Spanish, or if he were Italian, or Brazilian, or whatever, just imagine how many cups Brazil would have won if that guy was part of their run.
Everyone right now is comparing him to Vela, and okay, whatever.
Great player. Vela's a great young player.
Exactly.
Much more humble, obviously.
Yes.
But Zlatan plays a different role, and I think he's talking about marketing the MLS.
Ibrahimovic belongs in LA. If he goes anywhere else, it's a waste. He belongs there. His ego fits in LA. He fits that lifestyle. He's a great player in MLS. Is he still a great player nowadays if he goes back to Serie A? Who knows? I don't think he'll be as dominant as he was. Even back at Man U.
I don't know if you guys watched the Maradona documentary on Netflix.
No, it's on my list.
He watched it. Zlatan watched it, and he said he was in awe of Maradona
That's
in
why
Napoli.
he wanted to go.
I would love to see this guy partying in Napoli the way Maradona did. Because Maradona partied every Sunday after his game right till Wednesday, coked up for 3 days straight, then sobered up, and played on Sunday like a god. And if Ibrahimovic can do that, It is going to bring Serie A to the next level. You imagine him, Ronaldo, all the kings of soccer in Serie A. That's where they belong anyways, because Italian soccer
That's
is
the
the
one
best
reason
soccer.
I want him to go to Napoli, is because I want to see him
I
versus
agree.
Ronaldo again. Because
I
him versus
agree.
Ronaldo are the best games of all time, because it shows who's the best player. Because Ronaldo dummies Ibrahimovic every single time they play.
But Ibrahimovic's goals this year, some of the highlight reels. Just watch the highlight reels.
He scored the best goal in MLS history against
Absolutely.
TFC last year. That one where he got the
That
spinning
bicycle.
kick. That's the best goal in
Absolutely.
MLS history, in my opinion.
The one against LAFC too, his first one, where the
His
announcer
first
was
goal.
like, "Oh,
His
come
first
on,
goal.
come on." That
Here's
goal
the
was
problem
ridiculous.
with Ibrahimovic. His mouth writes checks. His feet can't cash. He goes to Man U, says he's going to bring a renaissance at Man U. Man U sucks. He goes to LA. He says he's going to break every scoring record. He says he's going to break every MLS Cup record at LA Galaxy. How many have they won since he's been here 2 years? None. How many gold titles has he won since he's been here? None.
But if we compare apples with apples, listen, Vela's an amazing player. I love him. He's a fantastic player. But if Ibrahimovic were 25 years old today in the MLS,
He wouldn't be in MLS.
he wouldn't be.
He
but
wouldn't.
if he were a young homegrown player
100
and he
goals.
started off like Alphonso Davies did with Vancouver Whitecaps, this guy would have made a mess.
Oh, easily.
He would have made a
100
mess.
goals.
Okay, and he said, he goes, listen, he goes, for me, this 30,000 stadium, he goes, this is like a practice stadium.
Yeah.
I played with Inter, there were 80,000 fans.
Exactly.
This is a guy who's
Barcelona.
international level, real international soccer player.
100%. And his marketing and his brand is bar none the highest in the league. But again, if he won an MLS Cup, yeah, okay. But you can see he was angry. He can act like this doesn't bother him. But walking off the pitch, grabbing his area
absolutely.
to the fans, that shows he's visibly angry that he lost
Absolutely.
that game.
Listen,
And they didn't lose that game. They got dominated 5-2. Like, it
He's
wasn't
a
even close.
competitor
was
and he's a
horrible.
winner, but he said all season long that his teammates, and that's another thing, he slights his teammates all the time, that they weren't at par with him.
They
and
weren't.
that's why
No.
he couldn't play to the best of his ability. He did not have the teammates to support his ability.
I want to touch upon, too, going to LA. We talk about Ibrahimovic. There was a pundit on ESPN who said Carlos Vela is a top 25 player in the world.
Oh.
How stupid is American bias to say that? I even talked to people down at the TFC game, we were talking about that, and some of them saying he's not top 25, but you can rationalize top 50. I can name 100 better players in the EPL alone than I can name than Carlos Vela. Anyone that plays for Man City in their 20 whatever man roster is better than Carlos Vela.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about Carlos Vela like he's this amazing player. He had his chance. He played for
Arsenal,
Arsenal. He played in Spain, and he was average. He came here, and he's a great player in the MLS because he's a good, solid soccer player, and he could dominate in the MLS, which is a lower league.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
for you. But you want to go back over there, you can't. This is your home now.
And he's Mexican, he's Hispanic, he's a Latino, and the U.S., the majority of the fans in the U.S.
In LA.
are Hispanic,
Yeah.
so they support him.
He's a
right?
he's a big guy here, and he should stay in MLS. People are saying, "Oh, I'd like this." I was talking to one guy who brought up. He said, if Carlos Vela plays for Manchester City, does he put up the same amount of numbers he puts here?" I said maybe, but they'll never want him because every single
No.
player in Man City is better than him right now.
Chance. He'll ride the bench. It's Sterling.
Although it's been
Aguero.
great for LA, El
It's great having
Tráfico,
him.
absolutely great for the MLS. Everybody wants to watch it. What a rivalry in just a couple of
love
years.
it.
Everybody talks about El Tráfico.
The goals, everything.
It's phenomenal.
The drama.
It's
It's
phenomenal. They had Magic Johnson actually with the
Holding the
Eagle
bird,
there.
yeah.
So you see, it's getting national attention,
Will
which is
Will
what
Ferrell was there with LAFC as
Got
well,
it.
hyping the
That was
crowd up.
awesome.
This is exactly
That was
what the MLS needs. So, you know what? Selfishly, I hope Zlatan stays
I do too.
in LA, but
too.
I'd love to see him in Napoli partying like an animal because that would be just phenomenal. And then playing Ronaldo, oh, you can't beat that.
No,
That's
I know.
fantastic.
Those Juve Napoli games would get next level. I would love to see that, but again, for the league of the MLS, for the sake of the MLS, Zlatan needs to stay in the Galaxy. And you know what? I do think for Zlatan himself, it's best for him to stay in the Galaxy.
Agreed.
Because then he can still dominate, so he can still run his mouth about how good he is. Because even next year, the year after, he'll still dominate in the Galaxy.
I agree.
Yeah.
So I mean,
agree.
will
Yeah.
he dominate in Napoli? Maybe. There's a chance. He's a gamer. The guy's a gamer. He can go out there and he can still play, but he's going to be 32 next year, you know? Not everyone's Ronaldo. Not
up
everyone
there,
can play
I
into
know,
their
sure.
30s like
He's
that,
up
right? So
there.
who knows? At the Galaxy, it's familiar. He'll go and he'll dominate. Maybe they'll put a better team around him next year. Who knows? I think he stays at the Galaxy.
Yeah, good call. I do too. I think he loves the attention. He likes LA. That's his scene. And you know what? Great exposure for the MLS. The MLS would not be wise to let him go.
No,
and I think they know that, right?
They have to know that.
Absolutely. There's a lot of money, marketing, publicity on the line. Just in terms of jersey sales, they were talking about his numbers are huge in LA and California, and really the rest of the MLS. He's the number one jersey sales, him and Bella.
Yeah.
So you got to keep a guy like that.
Yeah.
Of course. I just wanted to bring up something too. You know, if you watch this podcast, you know we talk about a lot of things, but mostly it's been Vanny out. We've been talking about a lot. We talk a lot about Ibrahimovic, and we also talk a lot about Michael Bradley.
Yes.
Whether he leaves, whether he stays.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know or if our viewers know, but I was reading something on The Athletic, I believe, where it says if TFC wins the MLS Cup, his option for next year at $6 million automatically gets picked up. So if we win the MLS Cup, Bradley's our third DP next year at $6 million. I never knew that.
I never knew that either.
An automatic pickup, you know what? I'd be okay with it if it means winning the MLS Cup, having Bradley back
absolutely.
again. But Bradley came on record and said he'll take less money. He'll take TAM money to stay with Toronto. Do you guys believe him?
I do believe him. I think he's happy here in Toronto. Honestly, I think he's happy. He doesn't need the money. He's made his money. At the end of the day, I think he's comfortable here. He's clearly the captain, the leader of the team.
Yeah.
I think everyone respects him. The city respects him. So he's comfortable here, and I think he'd love to stay here. If he's got 2 MLS Cups under his belt, it solidifies that he was part of that era, and he will go down in history as one of the greatest players in the MLS, being part of Toronto FC. So I do believe that he would stay. At the end of the day, he's going to get the money, like you just said.
If we win the Cup, he's getting the money.
Absolutely.
Wow.
You know,
Which is crazy. Again, I'll go back. I'll say it. I love Bradley, but paying $6 million for a defensive midfielder in the MLS when you only have 3 spots to pay that money is a waste of money.
Tough.
Especially when you have Liam Fraser waiting in the wings, who looked great in the Canada game, to take over that role, and he's making peanuts compared to Bradley.
Right.
It's so hard to
Right.
rationalize paying someone that much money for a defensive midfield role. So, I mean, it's tough to see it, but again, if we win the MLS Cup, I'm all for it.
Absolutely.
I'll take the year hit of Bradley making $6 million again to have another MLS Cup,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Agreed.
I
Okay,
agree,
guys,
yeah.
it's prediction time. So, Dante, Atlanta TFC, what is your prediction?
Oh, well, you know what? TFC is going to do the same thing. We're going to go into Atlanta. We're going to go march it in like the Reds we are. And we're just going to dominate them. And we're going to dominate them. Joseph Martinez is going to do absolutely nothing that game. And we're probably, I'd say we win maybe 2-1.
Okay,
Again.
2-1, win for TFC. There
For
you heard it
TFC.
from Dante. Nico.
I said earlier 2-1, but I'm going back on that. I'm thinking TFC Atlanta is going to be a goal fest. I'm calling 4-3 with extra time. TFC pulls off the victory by
Wow.
scoring their 4th goal in the 130th, or not 120th minute,
Wow.
right at the end. I'm giving extra 10
Penalty
minutes.
shots.
No, 120th minute. TFC is going to put in that 4th goal. Everyone's going to go wild. They're going to get even more beer thrown at them this time than they did in New York,
Oh, that was-
and it's going
yeah.
to be a great game.
Well, guys, I'm going to double down. They're going to lose in Atlanta, guys. And they're going to lose because of Vanny and his lack of leadership. At the end of the day, they have not won a convincing game in the last 2 playoff games. They were lucky twice. In terms of luck is part of sports. But without Richie Larea, they would not have been where they are today. So I hope they do win for guys like Richie and for some of the other guys who I'd like to see another MLS Cup with. I want Bradley to win his 2nd MLS Cup. He's been loyal to the city, serious guy, fantastic captain. I think he's a good leader. So I'd like to see him win. But at the end of the day, TFC has not convinced. I think this is the time. Vanny, I'm doubling down. You're done in Atlanta. We'll see you next week, guys. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to everybody. We'll see you next week.